Hello, we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. Today we are going to the US and it's going to be crazy. We're going to learn about an amazing project. My guest is Will Pemble, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He is a Web1 Pioneer, Web2 Leader, and now Web3 Futurist. So can you imagine? And we're going to talk about his project, Costa Punks, and we'll get the opportunity to see some of the markets. So it's going to be a new things for the show. We're going to have some demonstration, and that's going to be amazing. So I'm not going to say much. Just make sure you have your pen and paper, take notes, and if you're watching live, don't hesitate to ask questions to Will, because he will be more than happy to interact with you. But for the story, let's just get comfortable and welcome Will on the show. So don't go anywhere. We will start the show now. Another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Byron Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily actions.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others, and you are not alone. So welcome, Will, to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. I'm so happy to have you. And like I was, mentioning at the beginning, it's gonna be a premiere to have some demonstration live, from you. But before we get to this stage, just want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Let us know who you are and what you're passionate about.
Sure. Well, thanks, Marielle. I'm so grateful to be here. It's always fun to talk to somebody in Australia because Australia is just straight up my favorite country. I love it every time I go there. I love the people. I love the optimism. I love the weather. It's just, if I could, I'd just be there all the time. But anyway, my name is Will, and I've spent my entire Well, certainly my entire adult life and probably my whole life, just kind of trying to avoid adult responsibility, right? I've never wanted to be a grown up. I've always loved to play. I've always been curious about things. And just like from the beginning of my first day of real school, where I was expected to sit down and study and listen and take tests and things like that, I've fought against it my whole life because I've always just wanted to play. But at the same time, I'm curious and I wonder how things work, and I like to take stuff apart and put it back together. And then that creates a kind of a weird bit of a conflict, because if you want to understand really cool things, you're going to run into some math every now and then. So I've spent my life, actively pursuing sort of like the highest levels of play that I can achieve, and ask myself questions. And that's led me to a bunch of weird jobs. Certainly. I got interested in technology because back when I started doing it, very few people were interested in technology. And so I got curious about computers and networking and those kinds of things. And then along the way, those things became commercially viable, right? And so I was just like the guy over there goofing around with the computer, wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and some grown-ups in suits said, "Hey, you come here, build a data center." And so I've been successful in the internet business and other kinds of businesses just because it's a puzzle. It's something to figure out, and it's fun. A couple of years ago, when my son, almost 10 years ago now, when my son was 10 or 11, he asked me if we could build a roller coaster in the backyard. And I immediately said yes. I mean, it didn't take me any time at all to just think that was the coolest idea in the world. And why hadn't I thought of it sooner? So Lyle and I got to work, and we started building our roller coaster in the backyard, and we put videos up on YouTube so that we could show the cousins and the grandmothers how our progress was going. And so this was back a while ago. And I would put up videos to talk to, I was like, "Hey, Grandma Lois, how's it going?" And then I would just kind of start talking to the camera, and then people would watch a little bit, and one thing led to another. And now over the last several years, I mean, millions and millions of people have watched the roller coaster videos. I've built 5 roller coasters along the way. And the last one that I built was Netflix came and filmed the build of that roller coaster, and so you can see this build on Netflix, and so all of this fun and the going viral and building a community of people it's this wonderful result that came from my boy saying, "Hey, could we do something cool?" and me saying yes, and it's been expanded for millions of boys and girls all around the world, and it was an unintended, just a gift. I talked to a kid in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's 19. He's not a kid. He's a 19-year-old guy. But I talked to this guy named Gus, and he makes roller coasters on TikTok, which I don't understand about TikTok. I think I have a TikTok channel. I'm not sure. But Gus has 2 million followers on TikTok, and he makes roller coasters. And I reached out to him to talk. To meet him. I was like, "Hey, Gus, I'm Will. I love your work." And I get on Zoom with Gus, and he says, "Oh my, it's you." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You taught me." He's like, "You taught me how to make roller coasters.
The roller coaster.
I go to engineering school because of you." And I can't describe the joy of that feeling. I can't describe how wonderful it is that some kid at 14 years old in Brazil is impacted by my being silly and making crazy projects. And so that's kind of me now. And so like what I'm passionate about is helping kids learn how to express their creativity. And that for me, that almost always comes from learning something, education, and every kid learns different.
But it must have been challenging because, our things are structured in the education system, and you coming up with those, what I call crazy ideas. But at the same time, those are, the kind of thing that kids like because they really enjoy putting their creativity, their innovation into play. So how did you manage that? Because it must have, even from your own family, I don't know how it went. So, but how did you manage that?
Well, yeah. I could go on and on about what I think schools could do different. But when the best way to kind of explain it, I think, is maybe by telling a story of like when my kid, especially Lyle, but both of my kids, when my kids were little, they would go to play dates at other people's house, and we'd drop them off and they'd play, and we'd come and pick them up. And every single time I would pick up my kids from a play date, the other parents would say, it's like, wow, your kids ask a lot of questions. and they really, really do. And so do I. And so from a very early age, I taught my kids that, the best question is why, and which is a real pain in the ass if you're trying to get stuff done and people keep saying, well, why?
Right.
But I taught them the best question is why. And I also taught them you should keep asking questions until you understand something. Don't give up. Don't ever stop asking why. Don't ever stop asking how. Don't ever stop asking what if. Ask as many questions as it takes for you to understand what somebody is trying to tell you. And I've taught them that from a very, very early age. And they're, and so, yeah, like my kids, when they would go over to a play date, they were a nuisance to the parents because they didn't want to like sit in front of a TV or do nothing. They're curious about everything. And so am I. And I want to know. And so that's one really, really important thing. And again, when people start asking, especially why, they become hard to manage, right? It's really, really hard to manage. Just like a room full of 8-year-olds all asking why all day. I mean, that's exhausting. And so you have to love that they're curious, and you have to be willing to work really, really hard to teach them stuff. And so that makes it hard for schools. And then the other thing is, and so like, hey, we got to learn arithmetic. Why? Because it's required. It's like, nope, not good enough. You said because it's required, but I don't understand really why. So let me ask again, how come? How does it help me? And eventually, the best way to explain something to somebody, or the best way to get somebody to believe you, is through your actions, through your behavior. Because I can spit out all the good advice. I can tell you everything that every great teacher, philosopher, minister, leader, I can say all of the same words that they say. I can make all of those sounds come out of my head. But unless you see me behaving like I suggest, you're not going to believe me.
You're not going to believe me. Yeah.
Even if you want to, you're not. So I've acted like somebody who's curious. I've tried to model that behavior all the way through my adulthood, which means I'm also a terrible pain in the ass to adults.
And that's why you're building roller coasters. So because there's so many things to ask. Let's see, one of your video and see how fun it is to to be on one of those roller coaster that you build. So don't go anywhere. We'll show you how fun it is to work with Will.
So we have the Costa Dad. I think that's your name, is it? That we saw on this on the video. So how did you start, talking about roller coaster? Because I'm still trying to understand how this idea came to you, and see how you progressed it through to the level that it is right now, and now expanded it globally.
Sure. Well, again, it started. The roller coaster product started just as a thing is that me and my son did in the backyard, and we made some videos, and those went up on YouTube, and they got popular. And so I don't, I like to play, and I like attention. So it didn't take a whole lot of attention for me to get excited about, maybe trying to share the YouTube videos with other people and seeing if we could grow that as a thing. And the tagline of my YouTube channel, or the mission of my YouTube channel, is to bring physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere. And that's the point. And so like every time I finish a video, at the end of the thing, I'll say like, thank you for helping me bring physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere. I'm Will Pemble, and I'll see you soon. And so that's my physics, family, and fun tagline. It goes on to everything. And, and people respond to it. And so I just love the adventure of it. I love trying. I love failing. I love the frustration. Welding is fun. And so it's really great way to get people's hands on things. Mostly, not everybody, but mostly everybody loves a roller coaster. Like mostly everybody, not everybody, but it's a really good place to start if you want to have a conversation really about anything. And so if you say to somebody, hey, I'm building a roller coaster, they'll be like, what? And then you can go from there. I'm building a roller coaster because it's awesome. Sure. I'm building a roller coaster because it's a wonderful way to introduce kids to math. Oh yeah. At the very basic level, we need to build, here, I'll point it over there. There's a piece of, I don't know if you can see on the wall over there, that little thing that looks like a ladder. Well, that's a piece of roller coaster track, right? And so if we look over at that piece of roller coaster track there, that's okay. So that's about, I don't know, I think that's about an 18-foot long piece of track right there. And so if and the track is 24 inches wide. And so if I need an 18-foot long piece of track, and it has 2 rails, and it has to have cross ties, and the cross ties are 24 inches a piece. So 18 inches, and I want the cross ties to be about every 24 inches. And so how much steel do I need? Right? Now that's, if you're an educator, that's a story problem, right? It's just a basic story problem. But it's a story problem about how do you build a roller coaster. It's not a story problem about 2 trains leave separate stations at the same time. One is traveling at 43 miles an hour. It's like, who gives a crap about those trains? It's like nobody cares. They don't even exist. They're not real. It's not a good story. And that's the problem with story problems. Story problems always start out with shitty stories. And nobody's interested in a story that's not engaging. So if you're building roller coasters, that's a cool story, right? And then you can bring different problems, different learnings, different ideas at the very basics, just basic arithmetic. How much steel do I need to build 18 feet of track? And then you can go all the way to, all right, so what is the increase of the angle if I want to build a loop? And what is the bank angle if I want to go around at 19 miles an hour and I want to have 2 G's of downward force and no sideward? So it gets like, what's the coefficient of drag in carts? You can get really, really mathematical as you get into it. But no matter where you start, if you start as a kindergartner or if you start as a senior at MIT mechanical engineering, there's always conversations to have around building roller coasters. It is a great story.
Yeah, and that's what I see, because you were mentioning that even in Brazil now they got inspired by you and build the roller coaster. So how do you power them? Because I'm just curious to know how you power all of this. Because having a roller coaster behind your house, I don't know, your electricity bill must be quite high, isn't it?
No, it's not too bad.
It's not too
Well,
bad.
if you live in Connecticut, your electricity bill is high no matter what. If you don't use any electricity at all, you're charged for electricity in Connecticut. But anyway, that's another conversation. Roller coasters work mostly by gravity, so they roll and they coast. And so what you do need is you need to start with some potential energy, right? And so you need to take, like, here's the little model. This goes in that model there. So this is going to be our little cart for the moonshot ride. This is just a little cardboard, a cardboard model. But if we want our roller coaster to go up a hill, we need some way to pull it up the hill. And so that's usually some kind of chain driven, an electric motor that drives a chain, and the chain grabs onto the cart and just kind of like pulls it up the hill. And once it gets to the top of the hill, generally speaking, it just like rolls and coasts. And so gravity feeds the whole thing. And then there's more sophisticated or less sophisticated coasters. There's self-powered carts. There's carts that have launches along the way. But basically, you just like haul it up to the top of the hill and let it go. That's how most roller coasters work. It's just like gravity. And then the tracks, you do the math and you know how much kinetic energy you have, you know how much coefficient of drag, you know how far you're going, blah, blah, blah. So that's, you just haul it to the top of the hill and roll it down. It's just one of the simplest things in the world.
And how long does it take you to build that, from scratch?
That's one of those, like, how long is a piece of string kind of questions. And so this coaster, this one here, this is a little model of the building I'm in right now, right? And so this is like a 3,000 square foot warehouse, and then that's a model of this warehouse where 1 inch equals 2 feet, and so it's very small version of it. But so this one is going to take some time to build because it's going to be extremely complex. The last one I built took probably about 600 hours over months. But generally speaking, if you don't do anything else with your spare time,
which you don't,
you have a kind of a job, it's probably going to take you like a few months to build a roller coaster. So usually 3 to 6 months is how long it usually takes. And how many hours, depends on how crazy you get with your design. So
So how do you integrate it with your normal job? Because or is it now your job to build those roller coasters?
It's not. I've never had a normal job, so I'm probably not the guy to ask that question. Well, I mean, I've had a couple of normal jobs, but I usually get fired from them pretty quickly, because I'm not a stabilizing influence in like a standard environment. Because I'm always asking why, right? And usually anyway, let's not talk about how unemployable I am, but I am deeply unemployable. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always built my own companies, which means I can make my own rules. And so that's a good way to go. I've always made my own hours. I've designed my entire life so that my work would not get in the way of my play, or so that my play was my work. And so, building the roller coasters has always just been like straight up fun for play. And I built a couple of internet companies. I've sold a couple of internet companies, and then I kind of turned into a management consultant, which I'm still not able to describe, even though I am one. I'm still not even sure what that really is. I'm like a professional know-it-all, and but people hire me for that because I'm helpful, and I ask good questions, and I help people figure out how to run their businesses. And so, and as a management consultant, as somebody whose job is to help businesses solve problems and to ask good questions and to motivate and inspire, I'm pretty good at that. And people like having me around, especially when they find out I'm like crazy enough to build backyard roller coasters. Like, well, let's get that guy. He looks like a lot of fun. And so that's so weirdly, building the roller coasters has been like amazingly good for my career. I've been asked to speak at conferences because of the roller coasters. Every every talk I give at every conference, I always start out with like a video like the one you just showed. Just like, it's like, all right, you know, we got a lot of work to do today, but like, why don't we start with something ridiculously silly? And that opens people up. It lets them smile and laugh a little bit and have some fun, and just like, they don't have to like, oh God, this is going to suck. Right. Because that's what I think. Whenever I go to a conference, I have to sit down at a talk. I'm like, oh my God, how long do I have to be here? So my job is to educate, motivate, inspire, and then provide a roadmap to give people the tools that they need to do the stuff that they want to get done. And I'm really good at solving problems, really good at building systems for that. I wrote this book, which is called Lost the Art and Science of Getting Stuff Done. And it's a business book, and it's a pretty good one. It's as good as any other business book, I suppose. But, it was really helpful for me to write it, just because it kind of got it out of my head. But yeah, so my job is so weird that I have a lot of time to goof around and play. And I'm an insanely lucky person. I'm just like unnaturally, ridiculously fortunate, and I don't take it for granted, not 1 second of one day. And so because I'm so lucky, and because I get to play around so much, and I'm privileged. There's no question of that. I try to make sure that I share every bit of the playtime that I have. I try to make sure that I use it to inspire other people to do important things and to learn stuff and to laugh. And so I try to be grateful all day, every day.
Because I mean, it's not everyone who's actually, working and having fun at the same time, doing what they want. And yes, you're fortunate in that, because a lot of people are, in jobs, or they do things that they don't like, and it has a toll on them. So it is. I mean, just looking at your energy, we see the difference. It's like, wow, the passion is there, and wow. So let's have another look at your roller coaster. And,
you want to see that one?
Yes, we can.
Guess what? This was, and I didn't build this, by the way. This was built by a retired Disney artist, by a guy by the name of Phil Dockery. He's been watching the videos for a long time. We met when I was walking through Disneyland Park one day. He was working there. He's like, "Hey, wait a minute!" And he recognized my Coaster Dad logo. He's like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" I was like, "I made that shirt." He was like, "You're Will Pemble," and then and then Phil started in on this thing when we started the Coaster Punks project. And so I want to give just full respect and gratitude and love to Phil Dockery, because you're about to see an amazing thing. You're also the first person besides me and Phil who's going to see it. And so this is the first time anybody has ever seen this model. Wow. I just flew back. I'll walk you around. We'll see if this works. You see that box on the floor?
Yes.
I just flew back from California with this model in that box, because Phil lives in LA and I live in Connecticut. And so I just went to get the box. But Phil has been working on this model for hundreds of hours over the last couple of months. I want to see if we can get all right. So we'll give you hang on. I know this is a little bit crazy, but it's normal for me. Okay. So the idea of the ride, this is just the first round here. The idea of the ride is you're going to come to, oh my gosh, let me see if we can do this. All right. So, all right, you see this? Now what?
Yep.
Hang on. Wait. It's the warehouse.
It's the warehouse. Okay.
So it's a model of the building we're in right now. Isn't that crazy? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So here's Moonshot. That's the door we just ran in and out. Right? And then there's like warehouses on the other side, but this is like my little section of it. So what happens is you'll go into the warehouse. And the idea of moonshot expeditions is you're going to go on, the coaster is like a rocket trip to the moon. And so you're going to ride a rocket up to the moon, and then you're going to enter. Well, I'll show you. Right. So what happens? Look, Phil put a little magnet there, so it stays up because he's awesome like that. So here's what's going to happen. This little cart goes in there. I can't fit it in there right now, but what'll happen is this little cart is going to go in, and then here's our rocket ship to the moon. And it's a little bit hard because I don't have some help, but we'll see if we can kind of take it apart a little bit. There's parts of it that we'll put over here and see if we can do it a little bit at a time. You're the first to have the tour.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
privileged.
So here's our little cart. This cart is number 17 because Phil's kid is 17. This cart is number 19 because my kid is 19. And we also have a cart 21 because my other kid is 21. Okay, but what you're going to do is you're going to enter this part here, right? And here's the departure lounge, and then you're going to get into the little cart. You see that? Am I pointing the camera correctly? So, and then you're going to roll, and then what'll happen is, okay, I'm going to promise that we're going to go all the way through this. I'm not going to drop my laptop even once. So up goes the launch door. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And then you go through here.
Okay, I can see still.
All right, you let me know if I get the thing. And then this door will go up.
And then,
And then you go through, and then here's our lift hill, right? This is what gets us to the top, right? And this door can close. Now you see the cart right now here sits in a bit of a little curved cage, right? Now, in the real ride, this cage is going to be covered over, and there's going to be a screen, and we're going to use projection mapping because this is going to be like a rocket to the moon, right? And so what's happening is this thing will lift you up to the top, and you're going to take this rocket trip to the moon. It'll probably take about a minute, and then when you get to the top, it goes over, right? And you go kind of sneak out from under that thing. Okay, hang on a second. I got to put a part of it back now. Right? Because now here's the upstairs. Tell me if this is boring. I don't have to do it. I'll stop if you don't care.
No, I'm listening.
All right.
I'm curious.
I don't want to make trouble for you. All right. Okay. So then when you get up to the top, you go through here and around. Oh, I crashed. Hang on a second. Oh, hang on. You get here.
Okay. Gosh.
All right. You get here. When you go through. Oh.
It crashed again.
I know it's my first time. I'm just learning how. Okay. So then you get to the arrivals area of the lunar habitat. So now you're on the moon, right? Now look. When you get to the moon, can you see all those little stations? So this is our lunar habitat. And what you're going to learn about is you're going to learn about why lunar habitats are important. You're going to learn some astrophysics. You're going to learn some spectrography. You're going to learn about life support. You're going to learn through an interactive periodic table of the elements, and then also different kinds of lunar resources. What are some of the treasures of space? And so you're going to hang around in here for a little while. So you're going to get off the ride and hang out in our little lunar habitat science museum for a little while. And we're going to try to teach you some stuff because it's fun and cool to learn stuff. And you're also going to need to know some stuff because when we put you on the roller coaster, you're going to have to help us find minerals and such on the moon, right? And so then you get back in the cart, and I'm not going to put it back in there, but I'll just show it to you. When you get back onto the cart, this is all the lunar surface, right? And so this is just made of foam core, right? It's called a study model, but it's to scale. So once you get back onto the cart, you're going to have controls in your little rocket pod where you're going to be able to shine lasers on these rock surfaces and see if you can help us identify some important minerals that we're going to need as we travel. And look, you see the Earth off the horizon. One of the really cool parts about this ride is we're going to use what's called forced perspective, and so you'll be able to see here, and it'll be dark, and again, this is the room that all of this is being built in. This is the experience we're going to end up with, and so you're going to go through this wonderful adventure, and then you'll go through this cool lava tube, kind of a tunnel, and then when you come out here,
so this is a prototype.
This is our prototype. Our little scale model of what the cart's going to be, of what the ride.
The ride going to be.
So it's you didn't know you were going to get this crazy. Thing. You thought we were just going to like hang out on the Zoom, right? Okay. So you go through your lunar habitat ride, and then when that's over, right? It's like that. What happens here I'm not going to spoil the whole adventure.
Yeah.
But one of the things about the rocket here on this actual roller coaster part of it, and so if you look at this, there's a whole bunch of roller coaster track that's 3 levels.
It's quite complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's all going to be built over in this part.
How many levels do we have here?
Go all the way up to the ceiling. There's going to be some really cool special effects that happen in the ride, and so it'll feel like sort of a warp drive spaceship. I'm going to put this guy back over here. I'll set you there for now, so I don't want to rush and put him back together because it.
So yeah, it looks really exciting when it's gonna, when you're gonna have the real one. That's a good question. When are you planning to have the real one? Now that you have the prototype.
Okay, well, we've and so we've got our little study model, our little prototype here, and I'm going to put this. So the answer to that question is, as soon as we pay for it, that's how we're going to. That's the answer to that question. And so, one of the things that I do as a technology consultant is I do technology consulting. I help people with different kinds of business strategy around what kind of tech they use to run their businesses. Over the last several months, we've started having a whole lot of conversations about how cryptocurrency, how blockchain technology, how NFTs and all of that can be used in real businesses. And we've all heard a lot about cryptocurrency. We've all heard a lot about NFTs and Bored Apes and all of the different, kinds of artistic projects, art projects that are happening online. One of the things that just as sort of an experiment and a learning exercise, we've created this NFT project called the Coaster Punks Project. And the Coaster Punks Project is a way for us to sell memberships to people and fund this thing. And so like one thing I know, having built several roller coasters and had, millions of people watch them, I've had, I'm going to say more than 10,000 people, maybe tens of thousands of people over the years reach out to me after watching one of the build videos or something and asking, dude, can I ride it? I want to come and ride it. I want to come and see it. Can I check this out? That is the coolest thing ever. What is it going to take? And I've never been able to say yes, really, to those kinds of questions because, it's always been like a whole lot of people. It's a thing in my backyard. It's a private built thing. The coasters that I built were never built for the kind of throughput. They were never built for 10,000 people to ride or 10,000, what in the roller coaster business they would call cycles, right? It was never built for that. It was built, like my kids and the neighbor's kids and a couple of people. So I've never been able to invite everybody to come and ride. And I've always wanted to do that. And so one of the big win for people is if you want to buy a membership to the Coaster Punks, we're going to have a party, man. When this thing opens, we're going to have a big party, and we're calling it the Coaster Punks launch event or the Moonshot launch event. And anybody who buys a membership is going to be invited. to come and ride and be part of the celebration and be part of the party. And it's going to go on for days and days. Right. And so we're really stoked about that. And the cool thing about it is, if you think about it, just like financially, I know that there is incredible value in that, because I've had people send me emails and call me on the phone. It's like, dude, I want to ride it. I'll give you $10,000 if you let me ride it. And I'm like, no, man, first of all, give that $10,000 to the American Cancer Society or something. Do something awesome and frivolous with that money, but don't give it to me. Right. Just like, and so I think we can, and then there's also, collectible value and fun, and NFTs are kind of cool and an interesting business all by themselves. So if you buy a Coaster Punks membership, you're invited to the party. One of my neighbors is a t-shirt printing company, and they print thousands of shirts all day. And so like we're also going to send you a shirt. And one of the other things that we're doing as part of this project is we're going to lease the roof of this building, which is and put a 200,000 watt solar farm on the roof. so that and that's enough energy, by the way, to power a 4-bedroom house for 400 years. And then there'll be all sorts of other kind of like perks and things. And so if your membership, maybe you get we'll do some Disney tours and all sorts of fun extra things, t-shirts and flying lessons and skydiving lessons and tickets to Disneyland and all sorts of things that are all related to physics, family, and fun. And the great thing about physics, family, and fun is that's kind of everything. And so like anything that seems awesome, we can do that. So we're going to fund the project with the Coaster Punks NFT, and memberships, the NFT memberships, they're going to go on sale on June 22nd, which is just a couple of days from now.
Yeah.
I'm speaking at a big NFT conference in New York City, called NFT NYC, and I'm speaking at that conference, and the topic is, how we make NFTs. How do we make them accessible and interesting to like regular people, and how do we bridge that gap? Because right now very few people understand it, and a lot of people mistrust, and so we're and the short answer to that question is you make it not about the NFT at all. You make it about the community. You make it about your history. What is the benefit? What good are you doing in the world? And so all of that. And then the third part of the project is I'm friends with some of the MythBusters, and I don't know if you're familiar with the MythBusters, but if you're a builder geek, MythBusters. Kari Byron is one of the original MythBusters, and she is a partner in a company called EXPLR Media. EXPLR Media makes educational science content for teens and teens. So they stream educational TV into about 2 million kids in schools all over the world. And they're going to film our project and turn it into a STEM series, a STEM education series with a curriculum, so that 2 million kids will have the opportunity to learn the physics, family, and fun of building the roller coaster. And so we're going to build this crazy ride. We're going to build a solar farm on the roof and generate a whole lot of electricity, way more than we use. And we're going to film the whole thing and create an educational TV series that's going to last for years and years and years, because there'll be 2 million kids this year, 3 million next, and so on and so forth. And so it'll live, hopefully it'll outlive me.
Wow, this looks really exciting, isn't it? It's thinking about the impact that, something that you didn't even, think about is now creating. It's just amazing. Starting from a roller coaster that you only wanted to build for your son to now, impacting the world. It's must be really, really, really exciting, and you must be really proud. So let's see another fun video with some of your roller coaster, and then we'll come back for the last part of the conversation.
Hello, party people. It is Will Pemble. This is my friend Larry Aronson. Larry's been watching the channel for quite some time. He stopped by on his way back to the airport because he's going home soon. But before he does, what do you say we send him around the track? You game, Larry? You want in on this?
Why not?
Okay. All right. We're going to send him around. We'll see what happens. Hang on.
What have I got myself
This
into?
almost always works out fine. It'll be fine. We were thinking of making the lift hill faster, but what I know right now is that Larry is horrified. He's questioning his choices. He doesn't know if this was the right thing to do.
He's holding on pretty tight.
He's like white knuckling it up the hill there, and now it's kind of going to go the way it goes. Bye, Larry.
Good luck catching him.
I know. There it is.
Oh,
What do you have to
that was
say?
great, Will.
Thoughts?
Very exhilarating.
Okay, honest opinion. How'd it go? Like critique.
It's definitely a thrill ride.
Thank you.
And,
Okay.
yeah,
Were there points where it was like it seemed a little off, or it could have been better?
Oh no, it's perfect.
No, you don't have to spare my feelings. I want to make it better.
I'm serious. It was a little scary. I mean,
It's awesome.
you know, you think, oh well, it's only 20 feet drop, but
23,
it's,
20 feet drop, 23 miles an hour, 70-degree bank at the bottom of that helix. It's
that's crazy. That's 70
right?
degrees.
But you felt you're like pushed right down
as
in
you
your seat.
say, just the force pushes you in and keeps you right where you should be.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's our quickie ride for the day. Thank you for helping us bring physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere. I am Will Pemble.
And I am Larry Aronson.
We will see you soon.
Interesting. Poor Larry. He was quite stressed at the beginning.
It's every time I
very
rode
stressed.
that coaster, I felt exactly like he did. Just like you go up that super steep hill and it goes really slow and it goes clunk, 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 clunk. And I understand the engineering of it. I know it's designed to do what the right thing and be safe. And it's like, it is 100% safe. Every time I rode it, I was absolutely horrified. I was like, it was a well-built machine. It was really, really fun. And Larry was awesome. He was just the greatest, most generous, sweet fellow you'd ever want to meet.
I could see at the beginning it was a bit tense, and then after a while, I think it just said, "Okay, that's it. I'm just relaxing, and then let's see what's going on." And yeah, so that's fun, really fun. So
Cool.
I mean,
that's my favorite video, by the way. That's of all the videos I've made, that is my favorite one. And
Say
so
again.
thank you for sharing that. I'm so grateful because it's just like, it brings me back. And Larry, just one of the special days in my life to meet and hang out with him for that time.
No, it's really those moments that you never forget. I suspect. So it's just amazing. So you have this project. What's next? I mean, obviously you're into the coaster punks. So what's next? I mean, what is the big thing coming after that?
For this one, the next thing is we're gonna launch the NFT, and so now you'll be able to buy into the project and be part of it and get involved, and so that's the next part of it. And then as soon as that happens, we're gonna start building, right? We're gonna clear out everything in this room here, and we're gonna start banging away at stuff and welding and chopping steel and doing design work on the one hand, and then the other thing is this project, the Coaster Punks project, it's not my intent for this to be the only one. And so my view of this idea of this project, and this is a very important thing, is I think we can probably, crypto is an interesting thing, and cryptocurrency and all that sort of stuff. We're financial people, right? I was a stockbroker once upon a time, and so I know how money works. And so it's our intent to build this organization in a way that allows us to do this crazy project this year and another crazy project maybe next year or maybe every other year. But we want this to be the first in a series of crazy educational projects that we do to help teach kids about what's so amazing in the world. We want kids to learn how to take us to space. We want kids to learn how to take us to Mars. This is, and you don't do it by getting somebody, most of the times you don't do it by getting somebody to like sit down and study their multiplication tables. You get them to do it by putting their hands on amazing stuff. You want kids to build rockets, give them rockets. It's like, let them feel it and touch it and do it. So that's the big goal. The big goal for the Coaster Punks project is that we're going to be doing one of these crazy, crazy builds like every year or every other year.
And that's, that's the way things are going now. We are in the middle of, a fourth industrial revolution. You don't want to teach the way we used to teach, children. They really need to, you need to adapt, to bring the creativity, the problem solving, the innovation, because otherwise there's no way they're going to be, able to
Yeah. If you were to go to a hospital and you were to walk into an operating room and you saw an operating room from like 1850, you would turn around and walk out of that hospital. It's like, well, why aren't you going to that hospital? It's like, yeah, because that hospital is 250 years old and I'm not going there. But if you walk into a classroom, it looks exactly like a classroom looked in 1850. Why aren't we turning our kids around and walking them out of those rooms? Because education shouldn't be the same as it was 200 years ago. That's crazy. Education a classroom should look like this. There's welding machines over there. There's 3D printing machines over there. There's a Sprinter van that I'm turning into a camper over there. That thing's going to turn into a roller coaster. There's here over there. There's a computer editing station so that we can make video and produce. This is what a classroom should look like. It shouldn't look like rows of desks where people are asked to sit down and shut up. What kid ever wanted to sit down and shut up? It makes no sense to me at all. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build classrooms that look like this crazy warehouse.
But are you working with also, the education, organizations, and how does it work out in the US? Do you talk to them? Do you bring your ideas?
I've spent a fair bit of time sort of like trying to fix the school system. And again, I'm lucky I've made a little bit of money so I can donate stuff and get my way here and there. But what, and again, I have no patience. And so, so what I've discovered is that like repairing the school system does a lot of important things. And one of the very important things the school system does is it takes care of our kids while we go to work. And so to a large extent, the school system is a storage facility, and it's an important one. And I say it sarcastically, but I don't mean to take away from that. It's really important that we be able to go to work and earn a living so that we can, provide food to our kids. In terms of sort of like spreading the good word, but I could store a lot of kids here, right? I mean, I'm maybe not the best teacher in the world, but like there's ways to do it, but it's expensive and it's complicated and it's a huge problem. And I don't pretend for 1 second to have even some of the answers to the huge problem. What I'm good at is asking questions. And so part of the what's next, which is an awesome question. Part of the what's next is I'm getting more and more involved in STEM and STEAM learning organizations and conferences, and building this thing will give me the opportunity to go out and speak and show this because it's cool and people want to know about it. And so again, if you do something cool and people want to know about it, that's a great opportunity to kind of sneak some goodness past the goal. So one of the things that I intend is to like get on the road and get out to as many STEM conferences as I can and meet as many STEM leaders and STEM teachers and artists and engineers and educators. There's nothing I am more grateful for than the teachers who made a difference in my life and the teachers who made a difference in my kids' lives. I can name them: Professor Ballamore, Mr. Barderi, my English teacher in high school, Mr. Costello. Mr. Costello was my sociology teacher. I mean, these people, they echo in my head. I'm almost 60 years old, and they're still in my head telling me lessons that they told me when I was a teenager, and that is magical. And And then in the meantime, we're like, especially those teachers, we're driving them out. We're scaring them away. They're going to be fucking real estate agents, for goodness sake. I mean, it's like, come on, they're the magic ones, and we're sending them away because we're finding ways to crush their spirit. And it's not just the school system and the board. It's also like rich, spoiled parents who all want their way. And there's like so many problems. So like, I don't know how to fix any of the problems. I'm hoping that I can get in there and kind of bring some solutions, right? So like, just like bring a little bit of good into a system, and then we just keep pecking away at it.
Okay, wow. It's been a full-on, hour of, learning so much from your project and from the you have in your life. I hope that one day I can come and try some of the roller coaster in that you and your team are building. That would be really great. So I'm gonna put another video, and then we're gonna finish with the message that you want to leave us with today. So we are back. We are back with Will, and we are at the end of our conversation. And before we leave, I really want Will to let us know, the message that he wants us to, to leave the platform with today. Will, the floor is yours.
Cool. Well, I mean, thank you so much for the time. I love to talk about this stuff, as you can plainly see. I go on and on. The message is, the message is, ask good questions, right? Ask lots of questions. Keep asking questions until you understand what somebody's talking about, and don't be embarrassed. Just keep asking questions. I tell people I'm like the king of stupid questions. I ask as many dumb questions as I possibly can. I say, I don't get it. Can you tell me again? If somebody wants to walk away, they can, but I'm not stopping until I get my answers. And people, by the way, kind of appreciate it. They want to be heard. They want to be understood. And so if you ask, can you explain that to me again? It's rarely an inconvenience. So that's that would be kind of the message for me. Ask good questions. And then my request, my ask would be like, go to coasterpunks.com, go learn about our project. And if it resonates with you, get involved, buy a membership, come ride this crazy thing with us, help us build it.
Wow. So keep asking questions, don't be embarrassed, because that's how you learn, by asking questions. So don't stop. If you're not, if you don't understand, don't stop. Ask, continue to ask questions. So that's the message from Will. And go and check the Coaster Punk website. I've just put it here on the screen. Make sure you get familiar with it. And if you want more information, I suppose in the website there's an email or contact that you can to be able to know more about Will work. In 1 hour, it's difficult to get all the excitement that he does, in with his project. But I'm pretty sure if you connect with him after the show, thank you, Will, for your time. Thank you for the excitement, the energy that you brought on the show today, and for the demonstration, because that's the first time that we have, I would say, just looking at a prototype. And I was privileged to be the first person to look at the prototype, so I'm really blessed for that. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, it was great. Thank you so much for having me.